My brothers and sisters, there are moments in life when we wonder why things aren't happening according to our timing. We make dua, we cry in sujood, we strive to do the right thing, yet it feels like nothing is moving. But let me remind you today, when Allah delays, it is never without wisdom. It is never without mercy. The delay is not a punishment. It is preparation. And the one who trusts Allah's timing will never be disappointed. Allah is never late. He is always perfect in His plans. When we experience delays in life, especially when we are desperately seeking answers, healing, or breakthrough, it can feel as though Allah has turned away or ignored our cries. But that's far from the truth. The delay is not an absence of His response, but rather a sign of His supreme wisdom unfolding in ways we cannot immediately comprehend. Sometimes Allah withholds certain things, not because we don't deserve them, but because the timing isn't right or our hearts aren't fully prepared to receive what we're asking for. There are times when we think we know what's best for us, but Allah, in His infinite knowledge, sees the full picture and knows the consequences of giving us something too soon. So He delays, not to cause us pain, but to safeguard us from outcomes we can't foresee. We may feel overlooked or forgotten, but in reality, we are being guided and protected by a Lord who is closer to us than our jugular vein. The delay could be the very thing that's teaching us humility, strengthening our character, or pushing us closer to our Creator. When Allah delays, it's as though He's telling us, "Not yet, my servant, because I love you too much to give you something that will harm you." Imagine the love behind that. Sometimes, what we interpret as silence is actually preparation. Allah may be arranging circumstances, molding hearts, removing obstacles, or even teaching us the value of patience and trust. The test is not in the waiting itself, but in how we respond to it. Do we become bitter and impatient, or do we submit, knowing that Allah's delay is not His denial? There are stories in the Qur'an that show us again and again how Allah's timing is perfect. How delays brought about greater victories. The Prophet Yusuf was kept in prison for years. But that delay led to a position of authority and a reunion with his family. The Prophet Musa was guided through years in the wilderness before leading his people. Even our beloved Prophet Muhammad waited patiently for revelation, guidance, and support, and when it came, it changed the course of humanity. These delays were not rejections. They were necessary pauses in a greater divine plan. They built strength, cultivated reliance on Allah, and purified intentions. Allah is not bound by our deadlines, and His wisdom is far beyond our limited understanding. So when you're faced with a delay, remind your heart that it is a part of your divine training, a mercy in disguise, a path to something far better than what you had imagined. Keep calling out to Him, keep trusting Him, only because He is closer than you think and more aware of what you need than you are yourself. Every delay from Allah carries within it a hidden opportunity, a moment that is divinely crafted to help you grow in ways that comfort never could. When we're forced to wait, when the doors remain closed, no matter how hard we knock, our hearts begin to shift their attention from the dunya to the one who controls it. This shift is intentional. Allah sometimes delays what you are asking for, not to deprive you, but to draw you into deeper reflection and sincere worship. In the waiting, your faith is tested, your sincerity is revealed, and your intentions are purified. You begin to see that your due was never just about getting something, but about becoming someone. Someone who surrenders fully, someone who trusts unshakably, someone who draws near to Allah in love, not just in need. The spiritual growth that happens in delay cannot be replicated during ease. That pressure, that hunger, that longing, it transforms your relationship with Allah. You begin to pray with more urgency, cry with more humility, and remember Him not only on your lips, but in every beat of your heart. The pain of waiting softens you, humbles you, and makes you realize how dependent you are on His mercy. And while you may feel like nothing is happening, Allah is shaping you inwardly, teaching you Sabr, deepening your Tawakkul, and building your resilience. You start detaching from the illusions of control and understanding what it means to truly rely on Allah's will. That reliance becomes a treasure that only the delayed and tested hearts can carry. Sometimes Allah delays your provision because He wants you to realign your focus, to shift from obsession with outcomes to appreciation of the process. The delay becomes a training ground, a private classroom where you learn to speak the language of trust, the language of complete submission. Through the delay, you learn that ease is not always a blessing and hardship is not always a curse. You begin to see life through the lens of Akira, through the perspective of faith that understands the unseen and trusts what it cannot yet hold. You begin to love Allah not only for what He gives, but for who He is. Al-Hakim, the most wise, Ar-Rahman, the most merciful. You start valuing the journey over the destination. because the journey is where transformation happens. The soul that is nurtured through delay becomes stronger, more sincere, more refined. It begins to understand that not all blessings come wrapped in speed or convenience. Some come in stillness, in silence, in long nights of sajud and unanswered prayers that draw you closer to the one who never truly says no. He only says, wait. Because what's coming is either better than what you asked for, or he is making you better for what you asked for. Through the delay, Allah crafts a version of you that's ready not just to receive the blessing, but to carry it with gratitude, humility, and purpose. When Allah withholds something you deeply desire, it's easy to believe it's a rejection, but often it is a redirection to something better than you could ever plan for yourself. Allah sees the future you do not see. He knows the hidden dangers you are unaware of, and He understands the depth of your needs more than you do. Sometimes, you pray and beg for something so passionately, convinced that it is good for you, but Allah delays it, or replaces it because His knowledge surpasses yours in every way. What you think is the best may not even be good for you. When we face delays in life, one of the most profound truths we must remember is that patience during these delays is not just a virtue. It is a powerful sign of true faith and unwavering trust in Allah. Anyone can be grateful when things go smoothly, when dues are answered immediately, and when life flows according to plan. But the true test of belief is in how we respond when things are held back, when doors remain shut, when what we desire the most feels distant and uncertain. Patience is not simply waiting, but waiting with grace, with hope, with confidence that Allah's timing is better than ours. It is in those moments of delay that our hearts are laid bare, where our level of tawakkul is truly revealed. Do we panic and rush to shortcuts that may displease Allah, or do we hold firm, knowing that even in silence, Allah is watching, Allah is listening, and Allah is planning better than we ever could? Patience is a light that sustains us in the darkness of uncertainty. It is a shield that protects our hearts from despair and bitterness. It is the rope that connects us to Allah when everything else seems out of reach. And in every moment that you choose to be patient, you are being honored by Allah. You are walking the same path as the prophets, who were all tested with delay, hardship, and waiting. Prophet Ayub waited through years of illness, not knowing when or how relief would come. Prophet Yaqub waited in tears for the return of his son, not losing hope even as the years passed. Prophet Muhammad waited for victory, for the support of his people, and for the spread of the message, all with patience that shook the heavens. These delays were not moments of weakness but moments of strength, moments that built unshakable faith. Patience in delay teaches us that our trust is not in the outcome, but in the one who controls the outcome. It shifts our focus from what we want to who we worship. It forces us to remember that this world is temporary, that our discomfort is not permanent, and that the reward of Sabr is so immense that even the angels write it down with honor. Allah says in the Qur'an, "Indeed, Allah is with those who are patient, not near them, not watching them, with them." This means every tear, every silent dew, every heartbeat of pain endured with patience is witnessed and rewarded. Your patience is your proof that you believe in Allah, even when you can't see the results, that you trust Him even when you don't understand the plan. It is the mark of the believer who knows that faith is not proven in ease, but in endurance. And with every second of patience, you are being raised in rank, cleansed of sins, and prepared for blessings far greater than anything you could have imagined. When Allah delays something in your life, it's not because He wants to deny you, but because He's building a strength within you that you didn't even know you needed. Delays are often divine tools, used to prepare you for the weight of the blessing that's on its way. Allah knows what your future holds, and He knows that without a strong foundation, you won't be able to handle the elevation that is coming. So He allows a delay, not to break you, but to build you, to develop within you the resilience, wisdom, and maturity required for the next stage of your life. This process may feel painful, confusing, even lonely at times, but every moment is crafted with divine purpose. Sometimes, you may feel like you're standing still while everyone else is moving forward, achieving their goals, living their dreams, and experiencing their breakthroughs. But what you can't see is the inner work Allah is doing within you. The quiet transformation, the hidden growth, the deep lessons that are laying the groundwork for something far greater than what you are asking for. You may not see the fruit yet, but the roots are being nourished. You are not being left behind. You are being held back for refinement. It's in these delays that you discover your true capacity, your deeper potential, and the strength of your reliance on Allah. You learn how to endure without complaint, how to hope without seeing, how to remain steady when the winds of life try to shake you. These are not small lessons. They are powerful virtues that carry you through every stage of life. A person who has been prepared by delay becomes unshakable, not because they never faced hardship, but because they faced it with the understanding that Allah does not delay without reason. Sometimes the very blessing you're asking for requires you to become a new version of yourself before it can be safely placed in your hands. Whether it's a job, a spouse, a healing, or a breakthrough, Allah's delay is ensuring you're equipped emotionally, spiritually, and mentally to carry it with gratitude and humility, rather than entitlement and arrogance. Many people want success, but without preparation, that success could destroy their faith or distort their priorities. Allah loves you too much to give you something that will harm you or take you away from Him. So He waits. He shapes you in private, builds you in silence, and then, when you're ready, He releases the blessing in a way that you never imagined. The delay is never wasted time. It is divine training. It's a season where Allah is doing something in you before He does something for you. The strength you gain, the clarity you develop, the closeness you find with Allah during the delay are part of the blessing itself. It's not just about getting what you asked for. It's about becoming the person who can protect it, appreciate it, and use it in service to the one who gave it. Sometimes what feels like a delay is actually divine protection from harm that you cannot see. We often become fixated on what we want, thinking that we know what's best for us, but Allah in His infinite mercy sees the unseen, the hidden traps, the emotional pain, the spiritual distractions, and the irreversible damage that could come from getting what we desire too quickly or at all. So He blocks it, not to hurt us, but to save us. It may feel like rejection or disappointment at the time, but it is actually the hand of the most merciful intervening out of love and care. The job you didn't get may have led you to compromise your values. The relationship you prayed for may have pulled you away from your deen. The opportunity that slipped away may have carried a burden too heavy for your soul. Allah sees these realities before they ever manifest, and out of His mercy, He holds back what would have harmed you. When you trust this truth, your heart begins to find peace even in the waiting, even in the unanswered prayers. You begin to realize that not all silence is negative, and not all delays are punishments. Some are divine shields. They are layers of protection placed between you and things that would have derailed your purpose, your peace, or your akhirah. This realization builds a deeper level of trust in your relationship with Allah. One that is not dependent on understanding every detail, but on knowing that He will never abandon you, or let you walk into harm without warning. Allah's delay could be redirecting you to a path of greater ease, greater barakah, and greater nearness to Him. You may not understand it today, but someday you will look back and say, Alhamdulillah, that didn't happen. Every no from Allah is a yes to something better, or wait, because the right thing needs the right time. You might cry over a missed chance now, but you don't see the unseen pain it would have brought. You may mourn a closed door, not knowing it was never yours to walk through. You may feel overlooked, but in reality, you are being preserved, purified, and prepared. This kind of protection is one of the most intimate forms of love. It's a reminder that Allah is not just your creator, but your guardian, the one who shields your heart, even when it hurts. When you reflect on the past, you may find moments where what didn't happen turned out to be the greatest mercy. That's the beauty of Allah's delay. It may come with confusion, but it always leads to clarity. It may feel like loss, but it brings unseen gain. And in the process, it strengthens your ability to trust not what is in your hand, but what is in Allah's plan. You begin to walk with assurance, not because you know the future, but because you know the one who holds it, and you know He is always protecting you, even through delay. What may appear to be a delay in your life is often Allah's way of positioning you on the right path, without you even realizing it. You might be walking through a season where everything feels slow, stagnant, or even like you're being left behind, but behind the scenes, Allah is aligning events, people, and circumstances so that they fall into place in the most perfect and beneficial way for you. What feels like a detour is actually divine direction. You may have made plans, set goals, and mapped out your dreams, but Allah's plan always supersedes yours, and His version will always be the one that leads to the most lasting peace and fulfillment. The journey may not be smooth, but it will be meaningful. Allah redirects your steps to preserve your faith, to refine your purpose, and to draw you closer to Him in ways that comfort and success never could. The delay is not a punishment, it's a realignment. Sometimes your vision is limited and short-sighted, but Allah's vision is eternal and far-reaching. He knows which path will increase your Iman, which path will cleanse your heart, and which path will prepare you for what's coming. Even when the direction changes unexpectedly, or you face setbacks that break your spirit, Allah is still in control. Those moments of stillness and confusion are not wasted, they are filled with divine intention. Allah could give you what you asked for right away. But sometimes He withholds, so that you are redirected towards something far better. Something you didn't even know you needed. The very delay you resent may be the doorway to a future that you would have never chosen for yourself. But once you arrive, you'll understand it was the best place for your soul to thrive. That's the mercy in the delay. It's not always about getting from point A to point B as fast as possible. Sometimes it's about walking the path that strengthens your heart, that deepens your trust in Allah, and that strips away the distractions so you can hear His guidance more clearly. When Allah delays, He may be saving you from a hidden harm, or opening the way to a purpose you didn't know you had. The relationships that ended, the job opportunities that disappeared, the goals that didn't work out, all of them might be signs that you were being redirected, not rejected. And in that redirection is a special kind of love, one that's rooted in the unseen, where Allah holds your future so delicately and carefully that not even a moment is wasted. You may not feel the wisdom of the delay now, but eventually, you will come to see how every redirection was soaked in mercy, how every silence was filled with purpose, and how every closed door was actually a turning point that led you closer to what truly matters. The redirection makes you pause, reflect, and ultimately move forward with greater clarity, greater humility, and greater connection to the one who's always known what's best for you. The delays you experience are not signs of abandonment, but invitations to draw nearer to Allah in ways that comfort and ease rarely inspire. When your dues seem unanswered, when your progress feels stalled, and when your plans crumble before your eyes, it is not because Allah has turned away from you, but because He is inviting you to turn completely toward Him. In these moments, you are being called to deepen your connection with the One who knows your heart better than you know it yourself. The delay becomes a sacred pause, a divine invitation to return, to reflect, to renew your dependence on Him alone. It is during these times of delay that your sincerity is tested, your endurance is measured, and your devotion is purified. You begin to ask yourself whether you are worshipping Allah only for what He gives or for who He is. The delay exposes the hidden parts of your heart, bringing forward doubts, fears, and attachments that must be surrendered. And in this surrender, something profound happens. Your relationship with Allah transforms from one of transaction to one of love, trust, and full submission. The delay pushes you into more sujood, longer dues, deeper Quranic reflection, and more sincere repentance. The silence from the heavens urges you to check your intentions, refine your character, and return to the basics of your faith with a softer, more humble heart. In the waiting, you begin to realize that the greatest gift is not the outcome, but the nearness to Allah you gain along the way. This nearness brings with it a sense of peace that surpasses understanding, a tranquility that no worldly success can ever provide. You start to see that while your goals matter, your growth matters more to Allah. He uses delays to pull you out of your routines, to shake you free from heedlessness, and to remind you that nothing, absolutely nothing, is in your control except your effort and your faith. Even your patience becomes a form of worship, your tears become a form of due, and your silence becomes a form of surrender. Each moment of waiting becomes a ladder drawing you closer to the divine. And the more you seek Him, the more you find that His presence in your heart is better than the fulfillment of any single request. The delay teaches you that due is not just about outcomes. It's about connection. The more you call on Him, the more your soul finds rest. The more you remember Him, the more your pain feels purposeful. And the more you submit to His timing, the more you realize that everything you truly need is already with you in His remembrance. The delay becomes a gift wrapped in discomfort, but filled with mercy. A hidden treasure that you uncover only through spiritual surrender. You begin to walk not just with hope in His blessings, but with contentment in His nearness, knowing that to wait on Allah is not to be left behind, but to be lifted closer to Him with every heartbeat. When Allah delays the answer to your prayers, He is not only preparing the blessing for you, but He is also preparing you for the blessing. There is a refinement that must happen in the waiting. A transformation of the heart and soul that aligns you with the responsibility, gratitude, and maturity required to carry what you've been praying for. Many people desire great things, but they are not yet shaped to hold them well. The delay becomes the very tool Allah uses to mold your character, purify your intentions, and strengthen your faith, so that when the blessing arrives, it does not destroy your humility, distract you from your purpose, or pull you away from Him. Sometimes you think you're ready because you want it badly, but desire is not the same as readiness. Readiness in the eyes of Allah is when your heart can handle the weight of the blessing without being consumed by it. It's when you can say, even if He doesn't give it, I still trust Him, I still love Him, and I still worship Him without conditions. That kind of faith is born in the fire of delay. It's formed in the stillness where nothing seems to be moving, yet everything inside of you is being restructured by divine hands. The delay creates space for self-awareness, for personal growth, and for sincere connection with Allah that isn't based on outcomes but on devotion. You learn to love the process of becoming, not just the result of receiving. You start to find value in the journey, realizing that this preparation is not a punishment, but a divine investment in your long-term well-being. Allah is not only interested in giving you what you want. He's interested in who you are becoming in the process of waiting. He wants you to become someone who doesn't worship the gift but worships the giver. The process of preparation teaches you to let go of control, to trust in the unseen, and to rely fully on Allah's knowledge rather than your own understanding. It shifts your prayers from demanding specific results to asking for what is best in this life and the next, even if it looks different from what you expected. And when the blessing finally comes, after all the tears, the prayers, and the patience, it will find a heart that is humble, grateful, and spiritually awake. You will be able to recognize the blessing not as something you earned, but as something you were entrusted with. And you will hold it with care and awareness. The delay becomes part of the blessing, because it prepared your soul to receive it in the right way. You won't misuse it, idolize it, or take it for granted, because you know what it cost you spiritually. And in that moment, you'll understand that the journey of preparation was not a detour, but a necessary part of the divine story, being written over your life, a story that could only be told through the sacred pace of Allah's perfect timing.